welcome back to a new session. Children, in the previous session, I explained about civics, and the content I delivered in that particular session was about the features of the Indian Constitution and the fundamental rights that are given to citizens. Children, I'll shift a little of your attention to the other branch of social studies, that is history. Now, history, as you all know, I already covered the first lesson. And which is the first lesson, children, I did? Yes, it was Vijayanagar Empire. Now today I will be taking up the second lesson. These two lessons are in some way connected because both the empires which are from these two lessons are lived on the same period of time, that is they were contemporaries. Before I go into the detail of this lesson, so let me give a little introduction of what led to the establishment of this particular empire in South India. Children, as you all are aware, in the history of Karnataka, Vijayanagar Empire has left a remarkable mark there. So it ruled for 300 years, but it was the one battle, the decisive battle, which brought down the Vijayanagar Empire. Children, can you tell me which was that battle which brought down the Vijayanagar Empire? Yes, it was the Battle of Talikota, or also called as Rakasa Tangadi, which was fought between the Vijayanagar Empire on the one side and the United Army on the other side. So finally, it was the United Army which was victorious. So after they won the battle against the Vijayanagar Empire, they went on to establish their supremacy in South India. Yes, children, my focus of explanation for today will be the second dominant or the first Muslim empire which ruled South India, that is the Bahmani Adishas. So on the slide you can see the topic which I am taking up today. So it will be your second lesson in history and the first unit I will be taking up in this session. Children, and the content I am going to deliver today will be the important Bahmani Sultans. Under that, I will be explaining who, when and how it was established. Then I will shift my attention to the two topmost contributors or the top sultans of the Bahmani kingdom. One was Firoz Shah and the other one was Muhammad Gawar. So let's get going, children. Now before I go into the details of the contents which I am taking, let me give a glimpse of the extent of Bahmani kingdom. Children, on the map outside you can see the map here. I said these were the two dominant empires of South India. So one was Vijayanagar kingdom, which was towards the south, and the other one was Bahmani kingdom, which was to the northern part of the Vijayanagar empire. They were the arch rivals, and they were almost every time waging battle against each other. So they were the two top empires of South India. So on the map you can see here very clearly Vijayanagar Empire. Towards the north was the Bahmani kingdom. Now we will see some points which are related to the map here. Now Bahmani kingdom, as you all have told, it was established towards the north of Vijayanagar Empire. And in which year it was established? In 1347. And Vijayanagar Empire was established in the year? Anybody, children? 1336. Correct. Now, who was the founder of the Bahmani dynasty or the Bahmani Empire? It was Alauddin Hasan Gangu Bahman Shah. It's little big name you need to remember. But as per the sources, his original name was Zafar Khan. A little history I want to give about this founder. Actually, he was working as a noble under the army of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So when I say Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was from the Tughlaq dynasty which ruled the Delhi of North India. They were part of the Delhi sultans that ruled and they were very dominating in that time. So he was the one who ruled under Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and he was a very noble person. He was the great believer of his master. So once he started his exploitation towards South India, he waged a war against the king of Warangal and in fact defeated and made his mark felt in South India. That was the initial stage of Alauddin Hasan Gangu Bahman Shah. That gave him a chance to establish the Bahmani dynasty. So where exactly on the map of India, what was the extent of Bahmani kingdom? So it was the present Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, including the present Telangana. So the entire four states came under the Bahmani kingdom. Now their capitals, when Alauddin first founded the Bahmani kingdom, in the beginning it was Kalburgi, which was the capital, and later his successors changed it into Bidar. So there were two capitals. In the beginning it was Kalburgi, and in the later stages, children, it was Bidar. So once Alauddin descended from the throne, it was his son Muhammad Shah first who ascended the throne, but he was not so successful as his father. Finally, he paved way to one of the greatest ruler of the Bahmani, or the first most prominent ruler of the Bahmani Empire, that was Firoz Shah. Children, next I am going to explain Firoz Shah's contribution and how he expanded the empire and made it a very strong empire in South India. So hope you are all understanding what I am explaining. Okay then, now this is the picture of Firoz Shah, and his period was from 1397 to 1422. So the kind of contribution this king left behind made a great impact for the Bahmani Empire. Now let us see what were his contributions. As a king, what all things he did. So there are a few points which have appeared on the slide, children. So each one I'll be explaining for you. The first one, he was liberal, judicious, and a believer of God. So these are the three key terms which have been highlighted here. When I say liberal, Firoz Shah was very for the welfare of the people. His thought process were very liberal in nature. When I say judicious, it means he was very judgmental. Whenever he wanted to take a decision, always he kept people in the mind. And the third feature was he was a great believer of God. He believed in God. And for this reason, one example I can give is that where he edited Quran again and again by adding all the good values which he collected from the other religion also. So all those he edited during his period of tenure. So as a king, this was an additional duty, that is editing Quran till he completed his tenure. Then he was a great writer. So when he edited Quran, that itself tells how great he was a writer, and encouraged all languages, irrespective of anything, whether it was Hindi, Urdu, Sufi, anything, he encouraged all the languages. And he was also, as a king, he was an expert in geometry also, which is one of the branches in mathematics. And of course, theology. So when I say theology, believer of God, and theology is something related, children. Theology is nothing but a study of religion. So when he was a believer of God, we can imagine the kind of respect he gave for the religion also. The third point, as a king, he sheltered many philosophers. Whoever visited to his kingdom, be it poets, artists, or any thinkers for that matter, he gave due respect to them, and in fact, he gave gifts also once they went out of his kingdom. So for that, one standing example is that the way he respected the Sufis in Bande Nawaz when he visited his kingdom. In fact, sources tell that he gifted a village also to the Sufis, and later a tomb was also built in the name of this particular Sufi saint. The next one, I told he had a scientific temper also. For that, he established an observatory in Daulatabad, the present Maharashtra state, in the present Maharashtra, which is even now there. And the next one is he built a new city which was named after him, that is Firozabad, and he also beautified the capital city, Kalburgi. So these were the main contribution of Firoz Shah, and of course he encouraged foreign trade also. He invited people to come to his kingdom and had trade contacts with the other people also. So all this combined together, and this period was made as one of the glorifying period in the history of Bahmani kingdom. So once he came down from the throne, it was Muhammad Shah III who ascended the throne. But here again, his contribution was very minimal. It was not up to the mark. So he was a weak successor. So the next important thing, children, will be Muhammad Ghawan. So Muhammad Ghawan is the second most important or the dominant ruler of the Bahmani dynasty. This is the picture of Muhammad Ghawan. It's not so clear, children. It's something I was able to download. This is for you. And how did he start his thing? Muhammad Ghawan, he started as a prime minister under Muhammad Shah III. So he worked as a prime minister under Muhammad Shah, and he was originally from Persia. And he, like Firoz Shah or like Hassan Gangu, even Muhammad Ghawan was a very, very noble person. In fact, he respected the kings to the court. Okay, children, now my next slide will be about the contribution of Muhammad Ghawan. Now, he is the second most dominant ruler of the Bahmani kingdom, as I said. Now, we look into the contributions of what kind of contributions did he make. Now, the first thing I'll be telling is expansion of the empire, which all places he acquired. For this, he had to wage a war against the Vijayanagar Empire because all these places were under the control of the Vijayanagar Empire in those days. So the places he captured, one was Hubballi, Goa, which was under the control of Portuguese with the help of Vijayanagar kings, and finally Belagavi. So he fought against the Vijayanagar Empire and saw to it that all these places came under the control of the Bahmani kingdom. The next one. Being a Muslim kingdom, Muslim empire, his administration was based on purely Islamic laws. So whatever was laid down in their holy book, as per that they did the administration. So the kings administered based on the Islamic laws. The third one, he was for the postal service. He had kept in the mind the people, the welfare of the people, again like his predecessor. So he also encouraged postal service because this also added to the revenue of the administration. Then the next thing is one of the basic revenue he encouraged for the administration was the land tax. Now land tax, how did he judge? For that he had two criteria. One was the land's fertility, that is the fertility of the soil, and the second one was the irrigation facility, the kind of irrigation the farmers had. So keeping these things in mind, he fixed the land tax, and the tax he collected was only in the form of cash, no kind. Whatever produce the farmers were growing or the crops they were growing in the land, they had to sell it in the market, take money from that, and the fixed amount should go as a revenue to the administration. So tax was in cash, not kind. Moving to the next contributions. Now, even in the field of education also, Muhammad Ghawan made a drastic contribution. Now, what kind of contribution he made was, he established a madrasa in Bidar, which is even now there. Now, children, madrasa is nothing but the present university, what we have got, everywhere will be having university, is the same thing, the madrasa, which Muhammad Ghawan established in Bidar. Now, in madrasa, it was exclusively for the socially backward children. Children who were very poor, but who had the will to study, will to get educated, they were given free hostel and free education. And the subjects which were studied there was the astronomy, something to do with space, mathematics and history. And there were few other courses also which were offered in the madrasa. And the next one was, as a library, what all they had. So in these days, library means you'll be having piles of books, or you can have a computer also add on to that. But in those days, the manuscripts played a major role. They acted as a source of reference for the students who stayed in madrasa. Around 3,000 manuscripts were part of the library in the madrasa. And the last point, I'll be telling something related to the previous slide, the taxes which I told. Some taxes were not so good for the people or the subjects in general. So those taxes were removed from the list of taxes by Muhammad Ghawan. So which were very annoying for the people, those taxes was removed. So all this stands and make Muhammad Ghawan as one of the greatest ruler of the Bahmani kingdom. Now his contribution towards art and architecture I'll be taking in the coming session. Children, with this I'm going to wind up the session. Do go through the models, have a recollection of all the points I explained. Till I meet you in the next session, take care and thank you.